Hi everyone. So today we're going to split our video into two parts. We're going to do one with all of the terms and everything else, and then I'm going to do the second half, which will be our problems having to dealing with these terms. So today what we're going to do is we're going to interpret and use information on our pay stubs, W-2 forms, and 1099 forms. So we need to define what these are. So let's start with gross pay. So remember, the gross pay is the total amount of money that you get in your total. So it's like how much, how much hourly wage you make times how many hours you work, and then include any overtime that you would have and tips and things like that. But net pay is how much you take home. So it's the amount of money that you take home, which has got all of your taxes deducted from your gross pay. Now, your paycheck is the form of payment that employers pay you. Now, most of us, and I think almost all employers, now use direct deposit. So you don't get a traditional paycheck. You don't get a check. But you should somewhere be able to access or be given a pay stub. And on your pay stub, you have all kinds of information, like your ID number and how much you make. So here's an example of one with the rate of $25 an hour, and there's an hour 80 hours. This is for a 2-week period, and that's how much you make. Then you have to take out your federal tax. This one was from California, Social Security tax, health insurance tax. Okay, all of that comes out, and they keep track of your year to date and your deductions. So down at the bottom, your year to date gross, your year-to-date deductions, year-to-date net pay. This is your current pay, your current deductions, and down here at the bottom, this is how much your check is actually worth. Now, when you are hired to work, you have to fill out what is called a W-4 form, or the Employer's Withholding Allowance Certificate. This is the form in which you, as the employee, inform the employer of how much tax withholdings you're going to take out. So some of us have 0 dependents, 1 dependent, or you may have more tax taken out so that you have more to get back from the federal government in case you need to pay and things like that. Withholding taxes are like your federal tax, your income tax, Social Security, Medicare, things that employers withhold to send to the government. So instead of taking it out all at once, they take it out every paycheck so that they can send it to the government. Now, your W-2, which is also called your wage and tax statement, contains all of the employee holdings and deductions. So this lists all of the different things that were withheld from your pay over the course of the year. So it's a total. Now, every employer must give this to the employee by the end of January so that you can do your taxes by April 15th in a traditional year. So this is an example of a W-2. And again, it has lots of information on it. So here is your wages, tips, correspondent. This is your income tax, your Social Security tax, your Medicare that was withheld, your Social Security wages. Okay, then you have other things down. I'm not quite sure. These are different instructions that are deducted. Okay, and then state wages, state income tax, local wages, and local income tax. Okay, now there's some maybe differences between your wages and your Social Security wages. That might be down here as far as a something that is called a tax deferred contribution, and we're going to take a look at that in a little bit. And then you have your 1099 form. This is sent to you by your banks anytime you have maybe stocks or mutual funds, anything that you are making money on that's not coming from your wages or your salary or tips. Okay, so this is like your interest that you get from the bank. If you own a home, it might be your interest on your mortgage, things along that lines. So this is an example of a 1099. And if you notice in this particular one, it had royalties. So this particular person had to pay tax on royalties. So you still need to pay taxes on this information or this money that you're making that is not coming from a job. Okay, this is stuff that you maybe have investments in or things along that lines that you need to pay tax on. Maybe there was an inheritance, maybe you won the lottery, things like that. That's all got to be reported and it's all going to be taxed from the government. Okay. All right. Well, let's continue in some problems. I'll be right back.